massive shape glides just below the surface of Lake Champlain. In the skies over New Jersey and off the Maine coast, mysterious drones and objects zip at impossible speeds. And an 8-foot shark comes face to face with an even bigger monster. These are disturbing things captured on drone cameras. One of the strangest moments caught on a drone at Lake Champlain didn't happen during a scientific expedition. It happened while filmmakers were editing a movie. Director Richard Rossi and producer Kelly Tabor were working on post-production for their film Lucy and the Lake Monster, a fictional story about a young girl and her grandfather searching for the legendary creature of the lake, often named Champ. And while reviewing some aerial drone shots they'd filmed on the lake, they suddenly noticed something in the water. And it was something big. Just beneath the surface was a large, dark shape moving slowly below a boat. Rossi later said that when they spotted it during editing, they were stunned. They just sat there staring at this footage. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. Tabor argued that the shape appears to have fin-like movements, comparing the shape to something like a plesiosaur. But what do you all think? Back in 2021, a US military MQ-9 Reaper drone was flying near the Syrian-Jordan border when its targeting camera picked up something odd, to say the least, drifting through the air. The object doesn't look like any normal aircraft. In the thermal footage, it appears mushroom-shaped, with no wings, no propellers, no visible exhaust. For several seconds, it just glides slowly across the sky while the drone tracks it. The clip didn't become public until years later, when investigative journalists Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp released it, saying the video came from inside US military archives. When researchers started breaking down the footage frame by frame, the part that really caught people's attention was what happens next. The object suddenly shoots out of frame almost instantly. To get a better look, they slowed the footage down to about 5% of its original speed. Even slowed down that much though, the thing still disappears incredibly fast. One analyst pointed out something odd about the thermal sensor data. The object appears colder than the surrounding air, even during the moment it accelerates away. I mean, normally something moving that fast would be giving off heat, exhaust, some kind of visible trail, but not in this case. The Pentagon still categorizes this one as a UAP, unidentified anomalous phenomenon. Bull sharks are no joke. These things typically reach 7 to 8 feet in length, but in this drone footage, something absolutely dwarfs one. I love how the shark is swimming along all relaxed, spots the croc, and then immediately whips back around like, yeah, never mind. The video comes from a couple who were traveling through Western Australia's Kimberley region in November of 2020. They launched a drone over a muddy river, hoping to see what was swimming around below the surface, and they certainly accomplished that. Floating just under the surface was a massive crocodile, around 5 meters long or about 16 feet. And another scary part, people had been fishing and wading in the same water, completely unaware that both a bull shark and a giant crocodile were just feet away. Ever wanted to know what Gollum's POV was like falling into Mount Doom? Well, you are in luck. Here's a drone flying right into an erupting volcano. This footage comes from Danny McGee on YouTube, who was visiting Iceland when he decided to try capturing something people never get to see up close, if they want to live, that is. Just recently, an Idaho man named Don Johnson was visiting Yellowstone National Park when he stopped with a crowd to watch a well-known mother grizzly bear named Beryl and her 2 cubs. Johnson pulled out his phone to take some videos of the bears, and zoomed in, he noticed that someone was breaking a massive federal law. A drone was buzzing right around the grizzlies, dipping incredibly low, flying so close to them that the mother bear could easily rear up and swat it right out of the sky. Flying private drones is banned in most national parks in the United States, and the crowd watching the bears quickly realized what was happening. Johnson said that once people noticed the drone, everybody was, quote, madder than hell. If anybody caught them, they'd probably have strung them up. Nobody could find who was flying the thing. The drone footage ended up in a massive Chinese social media app called RedNote. The post was quickly deleted, but users managed to grab screenshots of it. In British Columbia, Canada, a couple had a really creepy encounter with a drone that got way too close to their home. Around 11:30 p.m. on a Friday, a man named Ryan Frank noticed something strange flying right outside his window. It was a drone. It was spying on the house. Ryan said the drone went over by his car to look in the window and then hovered directly in front of him. It got so close to the glass It actually cut the strings on 2 hanging hummingbird feeders. The drone hung around outside the house for just under 5 minutes. Ryan threw a beer at it, but he missed, and the drone eventually flew away. The next morning, he checked his security cameras, and he showed the footage to his girlfriend Shayla Skates, who'd been asleep while it was happening. It completely freaked her out. She felt violated, worried about what the operator might have recorded of her. Turns out they were not the only ones dealing with this. When Shayla posted about the incident on Facebook, at least 6 other people commented saying they'd spotted similar drones snooping around their homes. One neighbor had a very similar experience years before. She caught a small black drone hovering right outside her window, carefully circled her cars, flew close enough to check out the license plates, and then just sat there watching her in her living room for almost 2 minutes before finally taking off. In June 2023, filmmakers Yvonne Drebert and Zach Melnick were out on Lake Huron using an underwater drone to shoot a documentary about invasive mussels. They were scanning the lake floor for environmental damage when they accidentally came across a 128-year-old mystery. They decided to check out a tip from some scientists about a weird bump on the lake bed, dropping their camera drone 280 feet down into the water. Well, there was a massive 148-foot wooden ghost ship sitting completely intact on the bottom. The wreck was buried under millions of tiny mussels, so they couldn't read the nameplate, but they noticed chunks of coal scattered all over the lake floor next to it, which helped a marine archaeologist officially identify the ship as the Africa. Back in October 1895, the steamship left Ohio packed with coal. A couple days into the trip, a snowstorm hit, and the ship vanished into the storm. For 17 straight nights in December 2023, a massive drone fleet hovered over Langley Air Force Base in Virginia. Just after sunset, a massive 20-foot drone traveling 100 miles per hour would show up, followed by a swarm of a dozen smaller quadcopters. They hovered right over the military's most advanced stealth fighter jets. The Pentagon were pretty panicked by this, understandably. The drones were too small for radar, but legally they couldn't shoot them down unless they attacked. Commanders had to cancel night training and hide their multi-million-dollar jets at another base. 2 weeks later, the FBI thought they caught their guy. A 26-year-old Chinese grad student named Feng Yun Shi drove a rental Tesla right up to a nearby Navy shipyard and launched a cheap Costco drone to snap photos of classified nuclear submarines. But when he crashed his drone into a neighbor's tree, he panicked, abandoned the drone, and booked a one-way flight to China. The FBI intercepted him at the airport, pulled the drone's SD card, and found clear photos of the naval base. He got 6 months in prison, but the feds kind of figured this guy had nothing to do with the fleet over Langley. As Xi's own lawyer told the judge, if he actually was a secret agent, he would be, quote, the worst spy ever known. A drone operator filming aerial footage over Cannock Chase in Staffordshire, England, accidentally recorded something unsettling. The footage, uploaded to the YouTube channel Furious Otter in 2015, was originally just meant to capture the scenic landscape, but after it went live, paranormal investigators reached out to the creator claiming they'd spotted something lurking near the edge of the trees. You see this faint shape. When zoomed in and slowed down, it appears to show a pale female figure dressed in white. For decades, there's been an urban legend of the black-eyed children of Cannock Chase. It goes back to at least the early 80s. Witnesses describe encountering what seems at first to be ordinary children until they noticed something strange. The children's eyes are entirely black, with no visible whites or pupils, and they're very pale. One of the earliest documented accounts dates back to 1982, when a woman heard a young girl crying out for help in the woods. When the girl turned to face her, her eyes were completely black, and then she vanished on the spot. The only time clowns aren't scary are at the fair or the circus or birthday parties, places they're meant to be. Even that's a gamble sometimes, though. Anywhere else, yeah, no thanks. So when this YouTuber known as Golden Hour decided to get some drone shots of a cornfield for an Instagram video and spotted a clown staring up at the camera, he was pretty unsettled. After hovering around the creepy clown for a few seconds, he abruptly takes off running. Probably weren't expecting to see a clown on this list, were you? I mean, what is this, the clown craze of 2016? Well, Actually, yes. This footage comes from 2016, and for those too young to really remember, 2016 was a big year for creepy clown sightings. It all started that August in Greenville, South Carolina. People started spotting clowns hanging around the woods behind an apartment complex. Some claimed they were trying to lure kids with money. Once the stories hit social media, it went viral. Soon people all over the US and even in other countries were reporting these clowns hiding in fields, standing on roads at night, chasing people's cars. Some of the videos were clearly staged, but enough of it looked real that people were actually kind of freaked out. And then it got scarier. Some clowns were spotted carrying weapons. Police investigated, and a few people ended up getting arrested. By Halloween, the sightings had peaked and then kind of disappeared. Mostly it was teenagers pranking people, but for a couple months, it felt like any dark corner or empty field could be hiding some crazed dude in a clown outfit. This next farmer was not happy about being filmed by a drone, and he made it blatantly clear. This video was posted to the YouTube channel Green Blades, who was flying a small consumer drone over what looks like an English countryside farm. The scene is pretty picturesque, peaceful. You know, birds, open grass, but then out of nowhere, a man emerges and starts charging toward the drone, clearly furious that it's in the air above him. Then he raises a firearm and fires at the drone, sending it crashing toward the ground. About a year ago, a YouTuber named CJ Faison decided he wanted to see something for himself. See, for weeks, people around the New Jersey coast have been reporting drones appearing in the night sky, sometimes flying in groups, shooting across the horizon at crazy speeds. So instead of just watching from land, he went looking for them. CJ took a boat about 26 miles offshore into the Atlantic Ocean. He brought along a drone and a night vision camera, hoping he might catch whatever people had been seeing. And according to the footage he posted online, he did. In the video, the night sky over the ocean is filled with these blinking lights. Some appear to stay perfectly still, almost like they're hovering. Others slowly move across the sky. A few seem to blink in and out completely, vanishing and then reappearing somewhere else moments later. And every once in a while, one of the lights suddenly zips across the horizon at a speed that looks way faster than a normal drone. After uploading the video, CJ wrote in the description that these objects appeared to be, quote, drones flying in deliberate formations, and that they seemed to be coming in from over the ocean. Now, to be fair, drones are everywhere these days. They're more flying around than ever before, but the reason this situation caught attention is because of how often people were reporting these sightings. According to investigators, the Federal Bureau of Investigation had received around 5,000 reports involving mysterious drones, and roughly 100 of those had been labeled credible enough to investigate further. So far, though, we haven't gotten a clear explanation as to who was flying these things, where they were coming from, or what they were actually doing out over the Atlantic at night. And this last video was posted by Galactic_Narwhals on Reddit, who captured something strange moving above the ocean with his drone camera. Now keep your eyes peeled, cause it's not easy to spot. The footage comes from a DJI drone they'd picked up for work, but they'd been using it on the side to film ocean wildlife along the Maine coast. Narwhals said they'd only had the drone for about a month when they captured something they can't explain. Now, the clip shows a basketball-sized object skimming just above the water at insane speed. Frame by frame, estimates put it at 300 plus miles per hour, faster than a normal bird or consumer drone. Now, let's take a look slowed down and zoomed in, because again, the thing is very small. Now, that big black mass in the water, that's a school of fish, but do you see that small white speck flying over the water, right over the fish? It's about the size of a pixel. Galactic Narwhals said another almost identical object had flown over the same school about a minute earlier, but the clip they posted was the clearest. They ran the clip through analytical tools, including Grok and ChatGPT Pro, and both flagged it as behaving similarly to the Navy's Go Fast UAP videos, meaning no conventional or natural explanation fits. Now, as for what it is, who the heck knows? In Carroll County, Virginia, 2 sheriff's deputies showed up at a home to carry out a routine welfare check that a family member had requested. But as soon as they arrived, a man inside opened fire on them. Both deputies were hit. One was saved by his ballistic vest, but 31-year-old Deputy Logan Utt was killed. The attacker, 55-year-old Michael Puckett, immediately took off on foot. setting off a massive manhunt. Managed to cross the state line into Surrey County, North Carolina. 2 days into the search, a wildlife trail camera snapped an image of Puckett. Law enforcement swarmed the area and launched a drone to track him from the air. While the drone followed him from above, Puckett walked up to a random house and started ringing the doorbell while holding a firearm. With the drone actively monitoring him, tactical officers were able to close in and arrest him on the porch before he could break inside and hurt anyone else. This video is pretty crazy. So a drone operator was just capturing some casual aerial footage over Bondi Beach in Sydney, Australia, when he spotted this massive dark shadow swimming directly toward a group of surfers. It was a large shark cruising literally meters away from people who were completely oblivious. Lifeguards immediately launched a jet ski to intercept, while crews on the beach started blasting sirens to clear hundreds of swimmers and surfers out of the ocean. Because the drone was tracking the shark from above, lifeguards could watch its exact movements. It actually swam right under a surfer's board before turning and heading back out into deeper water. Luckily, nobody was hurt, and they reopened the beach about a half hour later, once the drone operator confirmed the shark had completely moved on. How long would it take to spot a single helmet lost in a massive mountain area? Well, if you had humans analyze 2,600 drone photos shot from 50 meters away, it could take weeks or months. But when Italy's National Alpine Speleological Rescue Corps, known as CNSAS, ran that exact data through AI, it took an afternoon. So there you go. That's a great use of AI. Rescuers have been looking for Nicola Evaldo, a 64-year-old doctor, went missing in September 2024 on the north face of Monviso, the highest peak in the Codian Alps. In July 2025, 2 CNSAS drone pilots, Saverio Isola and Giorgio Viana, stepped in to help. They sent out 2 drones and captured 2,600 high-res images in 5 hours. That afternoon, they fed the files into their AI software. The system immediately flagged a tiny cluster of pixels hidden in a steep ravine right above a glacier. The team woke up at 4 a.m. to hike out to a vantage point. They flew a drone right into the channel, and the camera confirmed that those colored pixels were indeed Evaldo's helmet. The drone took precise measurements and photos, allowing a fire brigade helicopter to fly in and recover his body. A man named William Moult went missing in Lantana, Florida way back in November 1997. He was 40 years old at the time, and on the night he vanished, he called his girlfriend from a nightclub to say he was heading home, but he never made it. For over 22 years, the case went completely cold. Decades later, a real estate developer was browsing Google Earth, looking at satellite images of a housing development called the Grand Isles in Wellington, Florida. While scanning the area, they noticed a strange car-shaped shadow in a retention pond right behind someone's house. The developer reached out to a homeowner in that neighborhood named Barry Fay and asked what he knew about the object. Fay had lived there for years and had absolutely no idea anything was in the water. So he asked a neighbor who owned a drone to fly over the pond and get a closer look. The drone took off, hovered directly over the water, and it was confirmed pretty quickly. You can clearly see the outline of a white sedan. Fay immediately called the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. Deputies arrived, pulled the vehicle from the mud, and found skeletal remains inside. It was William Moult. He'd driven into the pond all the way back in 1997. Deep in the Brazilian jungle, a government agency called FUNAI went on a massive expedition to protect people who have no contact with the outside world. The team had to travel over 110 miles by boat, trucks, and motorcycles, and then hike another 75 miles on foot through the thick rainforest just to reach the Javari Valley near the Peru border. This place is about as remote as it gets, but it's home to several tribes who live completely cut off from the modern world. The researchers wanted to see if a specific group was living in the area, but obviously they can't just walk into their territory for many reasons, one of the biggest being exposing them to diseases. So they decided to launch a drone to scope things out. The drone caught clear footage of a jungle clearing, and in that clearing were some tribespeople. One of them was carrying a long spear-like pole. The people on the ground had no idea the drone was hovering way above the trees. The team also found huts, crops, handmade canoes carved out of palm trees, all the proof they needed to show that the tribe was actively living there. As for why this is so important, it helps the agency protect the land from illegal loggers and miners. Did this drone camera capture a legendary ghost with black eyes in England? The video was posted to the YouTube channel Furious Otter back in 2015. They were getting some aerial shots of the beautiful Cannock Chase landscape in Staffordshire, and after uploading their footage, they were supposedly contacted by several paranormal investigators who noticed something skulking around the tree line. See if you can spot anything yourself. Did you spot it? Notice what looks like a figure in a white gown? Here it is, zoomed in. It's not easy to make out, but slowing the footage down, there appears to be a pale woman in white, and her eyes look almost entirely black. Many commenters have pointed out the figure reminds them of a decades-old urban legend about the black-eyed child or children of Cannock Chase. The stories go back to the 80s. People describe them as normal-looking kids at first, but then you notice their eyes are completely black. No whites, no pupils. One of the first well-known reports was in 1982. A woman heard a girl shouting for help in the woods. She ran after her, but when the girl turned around, her eyes were completely black. Then she disappeared. Later on, nearby in Birches Valley, another woman and her daughter heard screams, and when they went to check, they didn't see anything at first. A little later, the mom turned and spotted a girl, maybe 10 years old, standing still with her hands over her eyes. When the child dropped them, a pair of pure black eyes were staring back, and then she vanished. These sightings always follow the same pattern. Kids appear, they ask for something, to use your phone to get a ride, they scream for help maybe, and then they vanish. What did this drone camera capture as zipping across this expanse of water? Whatever it is, it's moving at a good clip, but it doesn't appear to have wings, nor is it leaving any kind of trail. The video comes from the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, who stated, quote, "The United States European Command submitted a report of an unidentified anomalous phenomenon to the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, consisting of 55 seconds of video footage from an infrared sensor aboard a U.S. military platform in 2022. AARO assesses with high confidence that the footage depicts the presence of a physical object. AARO will continue to investigate this case should further information become available to enable a more conclusive attribution. It is still listed as unresolved, so this is a genuine UAP. This video comes from Sucky Drone Pilot 508 on Reddit, who wrote in the heading, "Deployed FPV drone to see what an unidentified flashing red white light was hovering above my house." They claimed in the description that they've been dealing with strange activity around their home since October 6th of 2024 in Charlton, Massachusetts. According to the uploader, they actively tried to rule out normal explanations by using apps like Flight Radar 24 and stargazing tools, but nothing really matched what they were seeing. Trying to get proof, the Redditor bought multiple drones and cameras, but said they still struggled to capture anything clearly even after more than a year. Then on April 1st, 2025, around 7:15 p.m., they noticed the same red and white light again while outside grilling. They launched one of their drones to follow it. As the drone climbed to about 120 feet, the uploader said the controls suddenly froze, stopping them from continuing the chase. While the drone was stuck though, the light moved upward out of the camera's view. Moments later, it made a sharp turn and came straight back, flying extremely close to the drone at high speed. At the time, the Redditor said it didn't look like much through the live feed, but after reviewing the footage on a larger screen, they said the object looked far more unusual than they'd originally thought, and that it clearly isn't another hobby drone. So what is it? Share your thoughts down in the comments. This video was posted to Reddit by the Amateur Runner, who said his quadcopter was 320 feet in the air, filming a distant storm, when he spotted something very strange in the sky. Take a look at this. What the hell is that? I mean, it clearly looks like a laser, but what's it doing up in the clouds like that? Some comments on YouTube said this video is just a trick. Like this commenter who wrote, "Fraud. It's someone pointing a laser pointer behind you into the glass." Again though, this footage is coming from a drone up in the sky, not someone pointing their camera out their window. If the uploader is to be believed, that is. I'm not saying something like this can't be faked, alright? Anything can be faked nowadays, but I also think there is some very strange stuff going on up in the sky, so who the hell knows? Maybe the aliens were having themselves a little rave up there that night. This next piece of footage was captured off the coast of Yemen on October 30th, 2024. Congress watched the footage during a public hearing in early 2025. The clip comes from an MQ-9 Reaper, which is a military drone that normally tracks vehicles and targets from far away. In this case, it was following this bright round object flying through the air, and nope, it had none of the stuff you expect to see on an aircraft. No glow from an engine, no wings, nothing that would make it easy to place in any category other than UAP. But then things get even crazier, because instead of this just being footage of an unexplained object flying through the air, the military fired a missile at it. A Hellfire missile. That is a guided weapon designed to destroy tanks and buildings. So a very heavy-hitting missile, but when it hit this UAP, it just bounced right off it. The mystery craft brushes it off like nothing. It just keeps going exactly the same as before. It wasn't affected at all. Unsurprisingly, the military was pretty concerned. This is a military drone firing a missile at something in restricted airspace, and it has no effect. That's kind of scary. So unless the government knows something and is just hiding it, we still have no idea what this thing was. This weird piece of footage was captured in 2013 by Homeland Security near Rafael Hernandez Airport in Aguadilla, Puerto Rico. Crew was on a routine patrol when the sensor locked onto this small metallic object speeding across the sky. Unlike a plane or a drone, this thing moved without wings or obvious propulsion. And what it did next is why it's become one of the most debated UAP clips ever. The object is seen flying over land at first, and then it approaches the shoreline at incredible speed. It doesn't slow down. Instead, it appears to plunge directly into the ocean and continue moving underwater, meaning this thing was a transmedia, able to operate in air and water. We don't know of any aircraft that's able to move this way. At one point, he also claimed the object performed a maneuver that looked like it split into two separate ones. The AARO later tried to explain it away as nothing more than sky lanterns drifting in the wind, but the people who actually studied the footage, physicists and UAP researchers, said no way, this thing wasn't drifting, it was moving in this controlled manner, changing direction instantly. In 2022, a US military sensor picked up something weird over Europe. The footage is short, just over a minute, and it's infrared, so what you see on screen is basically a heat signature. Looks like a small object moving through the air, but that's all anyone can really say. Analysts looked at it, ran it through all the data they had, and couldn't figure out what it was. No radar confirmation, no other sensors picking it up, no way to tell if it's a bird, a balloon, or something else. It's very odd. It doesn't move in one direction. It moves one way, stops, and moves back the other way. It's going up and down. I've never seen a bird or plane do that. Even though it's just a small heat blob on a screen, people whose job it is to figure these things out couldn't explain it away. Also in 2022, a different US military sensor caught another short infrared clip over Africa. It's only about 30 seconds long, and it's hard to spot at first, but it shows a heat signature moving in a way that doesn't match any known aircraft. Looks like a small black dot flying through the air. Like the Europe case, this isn't a blurry YouTube clip. This is sensor-grade imagery, precise and clear. There's not enough info to figure out what it is. No other sensors caught it. No radar picked it up. Nothing on the ground. It just appears, moves, and disappears. So it's in the official unresolved category. In December of 2018, a US drone was flying near Mount Etna while monitoring the volcano when it caught something very strange. The infrared footage shows this small object moving across the sky near the plume. It's fast, smooth, moving in a straight, steady line, weaving slightly but never really wobbling or drifting. And once again, there's no wings, there's no jet trail, nothing obvious that would explain how it's flying. Finally, in October 2017, a surveillance balloon near Al Taqadum Air Base in Iraq recorded a strange object. The infrared footage runs about 17 minutes, and in the first seconds you notice it. There's this small solid shape steadily hovering. As the camera tracks it, the object keeps its shape perfectly. It's a very odd shape too, almost looks like a jellyfish. Actually, that's a whole category of UAPs. Jellyfish UAPs, they call them. There are tons unexplained videos just like this one. As for what it is, your guess is as good as mine. This next clip comes out of Ukraine. So these guys from Ukraine's 406th Battalion were flying a thermal drone over the front lines, just doing normal surveillance. But then something shows up on their screen. At first, it looks like a smudge maybe, just this dark shape in the sky. But as they zoom in, you can see it more clearly, and it's not flying, it's hovering, completely still. One of the soldiers says, "What the F is this? Why isn't it moving?" English translation, of course. Even when the drone gets closer, the thing doesn't react at all. There's no change in position, no heat trail, nothing you'd expect from a normal aircraft. Based on the drone's readings, the object was supposedly over 30 miles away, and as you can see, it still looks pretty big on screen. Nobody's been able to confirm what it was, and I gotta say, the shape of it though, it does look like your classic UFO to me. Definitely strange. This next clip was uploaded by a guy on YouTube called Ken's Carpentry, and he wasn't even out there looking for anything weird. He had his drone up in Vermont trying to film a bear and her cubs. Instead, he catches something else. At first, it's easy to miss. It's just this dark shape moving through the brush. But then he notices it, and you can hear it in his voice. He kind of laughs like, what am I even looking at right now? So he swings the drone back and finds it again, and this time it's clearer. Whatever it is, it's walking upright, not on all fours, not hopping around like a deer. It's big, dark, and most importantly, it's covered in fur. He tracks it for a bit, keeping the camera on it as it moves through the trees, and then it just disappears back into the brush. Now, obviously, same as every Bigfoot clip, you gotta ask it, could it be a guy in a suit? And yeah, could it be something misidentified in the trees? Maybe, but at the same time, there are huge expanses of forest that people barely ever set foot, so you never know what could be lurking out there. Alright, this is a crazy case. So starting on December 6th, 2023 and continuing for 17 straight nights, a massive fleet of unidentified drones effectively took control of the airspace over one of the most sensitive military installations in the United States. General Mark Kelly, who was the head of Air Combat Command at the time, actually went up to a squadron rooftop to see them for himself. He reported seeing a lead craft that was roughly 20 feet long and flying through the air at more than 100 miles an hour. Behind that big one, a dozen or more smaller drones followed in a precise formation. Kelly said the sound of the swarm was like a parade of lawnmowers, and the lights they carried looked like constellations in the night sky. Because the drones didn't show any explicit hostile intent though, the Air Force couldn't really do much. A base spokesperson said that though they were a threat to flight safety, they didn't have the authority to just start shooting them down, especially over American soil. They were so stumped that they held emergency meetings at the White House with the FBI and the Pentagon's UFO office. They even considered using giant nets to try and catch the drones, but they eventually gave up and canceled their nighttime training missions, moving their multi-million-dollar fighter jets to another base to keep them out of harm's way. The drones stopped appearing on December 23rd of 2023 as mysteriously as they arrived. To this day, nobody knows where they came from or why they were there. And this final video comes from Paranormal Polska on Reddit, who seems to have captured something mysterious flying through the sky over Gadzowice, Poland. The video was captured on August 25th, 2025. The uploader said it was recorded using a DJI Mavic 4 drone, and that at first he thought it was a bird or an insect, but the more he played it back, the more confused he got. Whatever this thing is, it does zip by really fast. Gotta admit, does kind of look like a bird to me, but as I also said earlier, all kinds of things are flying around in the sky these days. This could also be some sort of tiny, top-secret experimental military drone. I ain't here to confirm or refute. I just present what I see. Let you all decide for yourselves.
Drones, right off the bat, they're not a new piece of technology, but they're most definitely becoming more widespread. Especially living downtown Toronto, I see drones all the time. And yes, I get mad at them every single time for no reason. I always think it's aliens too for like 4 seconds, and I'm like, nah, just that guy over there. Surveys suggest that drone technology that's upcoming, that's what the general public fears the most. I mean, fair. That and VR, pretty ominous. Very Black Mirror vibes going on with those two. And part of this, or really a lot of this, is due to the fact that since this technology evolved so quickly, the laws and regulations surrounding drones, well, they haven't exactly had time to catch up. They're cool and all, but drones are quite invasive. Like I said, I see them a lot, and I don't wanna. These devices can make others feel like they're being spied on, when really we're just enjoying the view. In Portsmouth, one man was caught sunbathing on top of a 175-foot tall wind turbine. Yeah, what a location. There we go. The closer to the sun, the better, I guess? I don't know what his mentality is. Drone operator Kevin Miller spotted Joseph Byron catching a cool breeze on top of a turbine. Now, the man had obviously been asked about his parkour endeavor and how he got up there, of course. And apparently he's been climbing the turbine for over a decade, just for some alone time. Yeah, that guy's for sure Batman. Leave people alone. Stop flying drones near them. Number 9. Ghosts. Ah yes, the black-eyed ghouls of Cannock Chase Forest in Staffordshire, England. You've heard about this one? No? Huh. Listen up. They've been a local legend for hundreds of years now, and now we're finally at a time where drones are responsible for ghost photography. Yep, no escaping now, Casper. We have altitude and speed, buddy. These ghouls, they've been thought to be ghost victims that died from diphtheria outbreak back in the 1800s, so it's not like a scary ghoul Elden Ring type situation. It's just some lost souls, you know, just some sad stuff. They're also said to be victims of Raymond Morris, who took the lives of several people back in the 1960s, so could be outbreak victims and could be worse. Either way, we got it all on drone cam. Check it out. Did you see a ghost wearing a white dress? A little odd to be in the woods like that, no? Definitely without bug spray, you'd probably be a little itchy. Imagine being a ghost and now you have to fly away from a drone. How stressful is that? Just a ghost racing a drone. Next Paranormal Activity right there. Number 8, Jeepers Creepers. This one I am not a fan of, okay? Some are afraid of heights, so that last one probably scared you. If you're afraid of clowns, well, buckle up. I grew up watching Jeepers Creepers, right? That movie ruined my childhood. Now this clip takes me back to the good old days. Kelly Lopez took his drone for a spin over a cornfield, maybe hoping to see some abandoned tractors, a sunset. Wouldn't hurt, you know, who knows? When looking back at the footage, Kelly discovered a clown that also discovered Kelly's drone. Yeah, the last thing you'd expect in a cornfield, right? Just a clown. A minute into the footage, the clown notices the drone and then sprints. It takes off so fast. It's almost like he got caught doing something, you know what I mean? Or else why would you run? Doing what though? I don't want to know. Why is he dressed up like a clown too? I need answers. I need all the answers. Or maybe I don't. I don't know. This is too creepy. Let's move on. Number 7, Chernobyl. On April 26, 1986, reactor number 4 at the Chernobyl power complex erupted. It was just a horrible time. It erupted due to unstable and low power levels. And in turn, reactor 4 had been shut down a day before due to maintenance. And the next day at 1:23 a.m., radioactive debris compiled of fuel and reactor components just rained down over the building. And toxic fumes were then carried from the wind, and after just 4 months, 28 workers had died due to radiation exposure. Fast. Now eventually, they of course had to evacuate over 100,000 residents, and to this day, that zone is a no-go for humans. No can do. But drones, on the other hand, sure, they could swoop in and have a different fate. That area right now is full of nature, but humans are nowhere in sight, so it's pretty beautiful on a grim note. It looks like something from The Last of Us. Reactor 4 will stay highly radioactive for another 20,000 years, so I want to grab a drone soon. Number 6, Shark Circle. Cool, all the fears in one video. Let's do it. See, this is where I can get behind drone videos. This is where I like drones. Just this one time. The ocean, right? We have no idea what's in there, in the top or the bottom. So let's fly over and see if there's any treasure or shipwrecks laying around. Much safer. Even for rescue purposes, right? If someone's in a cave, maybe they're spelunking and they go missing, well, send in a little drone. Don't send in more people to get stuck. I should be like a guy in the chair who like controls them. That's kind of fun. This next clip here shows surfers from South Africa not realize that they're paddling around a circle of sharks. Yeah, they looked at the footage afterwards and they were like, oh, we were almost lunch. How lovely. Now, I've swam with sharks before. I don't think sharks are the worst ever, obviously. I'm not endorsing that. But the circling part, the number of them and the circling, nah, I'm good.
So this one came straight from the Pentagon itself, which already puts it in a different category from the usual blurry UFO clips you see online. The video was recorded on July 12th, 2022, somewhere in the Middle East by an MQ-9 Reaper. That's one of the US military's main long-range drones used for surveillance. The footage didn't go public until April of 2023, and the Pentagon played it during an all-domain anomaly resolution office briefing, and even they admitted they still couldn't identify what this thing was. What you see in the video looks small, but it's weirdly sharp. It's clearly a metallic-looking orb that darts across the frame, at a good clip, mind you. There are no wings, no heat signature, there's nothing leaking off it. It just cuts through the air and disappears behind a hillside. The Reaper has thermal, infrared, but it didn't pick up anything that helped narrow things down. Pentagon didn't claim it was a balloon or a drone or any other kind of known aircraft. They have no idea what it was. Even the people who look at this stuff for a living couldn't explain it. This one didn't come from the government. It leaked through two journalists who cover military and UFO-related cases, Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp. They run a show where they break down leaked videos and documents, and that's where this footage was first shared. The clip came from a US military drone flying north of Baghdad on May 14th, 2022. Unlike the shiny sphere we talked about before, this thing looked more like a skinny cylinder, almost like a tall metal capsule floating in the air. It's hard to see at first, but if you look toward the lower half of the screen, you'll see it. It's this black cylinder-looking thing moving across the frame. The drone that filmed it wasn't using a normal camera. This was thermal and infrared footage, the kind that picks up heat signatures. Look how the object moves. It doesn't tumble or wobble like debris would, and it didn't heat up like a machine. It glides in a totally straight, controlled path, but with no visible propulsion. Corbell said people inside the military referred to it as the Baghdad Phantom, and that it was one of the objects that ended up in the Air Force's internal list of unidentified cases. Analysts who looked at the movement and shape said they had no match for this. Even skeptics had a hard time writing this one off. It's too clean, too symmetrical, too steady. Whatever it is, nothing else in that airspace looks like it. This one goes back to April 2016. During heavy fighting in Mosul, Iraq, a US drone flying over the city picked up a strange, perfectly round metallic orb drifting across the sky. At the time, all the footage from Mosul was classified because the battle was ongoing, so nobody outside the military saw it. Years later, though, in 2022 and 2023, journalists found still frames and clips connected to this incident, and that's when they finally brought it to the public. The orb looks almost identical to the one the Pentagon released from 2022. Smooth, spherical, no visible propulsion, no heat signature. The footage was shown in Department of Defense briefings as one of the cases analysts couldn't easily explain. They tried matching it to US and Iraqi drones, but nothing matched. They tried checking for balloons or debris caught in an updraft, still nothing. The object is still officially unidentified. This one didn't come from a military super drone, it came from a standard commercial one, the kind you can actually buy yourself. In early February last year, Ukrainian soldiers from an artillery unit were flying a drone with thermal imaging to check the area ahead of them. Instead of spotting enemy movement though, they ended up recording what you're looking at here. The drone locked onto something that looked like a disc or a short cylinder thingy hanging in the sky. It wasn't drifting or bobbing around like a balloon. It was almost perfectly still, like it was anchored in place. Thermal cameras show heat instantly. Vehicles, drones, helicopters, birds, and whatever this thing was, it was warmer than its surroundings. As the drone crept closer, the soldiers got more and more confused. These guys see drones every day, mind you. Russian drones, Ukrainian ones, NATO, recon craft, so they know the difference between what is normal and what isn't. No one's been able to find any official explanation for whatever this thing was.
Number 5. Massive whirlpool. This next one here will get a certain group of people. Again, me, I'm not a fan of large bodies of water or the ocean or circles of sharks, but murky water, like murky lakes, they're on my big fear list. I don't like those. I don't like putting my foot in a dirty lake. Back in February 2017, while waters were rising at Lake Berryessa in California's Napa Valley, the Glory Hole Spillway, don't you dare laugh at that. The Glory Hole Spillway did what life intended it to do. Did some spilling, there you go. Now thankfully a drone guy was nearby, always handy, those drone guys. So now we get to watch the horrors from above. Take a look. It's also terrifying too when the water is not up that high, because now you have this massive pipe just emerging out of the lake, which, I mean, that's a bit worse of a fear, in my opinion. Number 4, inside of a volcano. Awesome, just gives away everything, the title. If you're near an active volcano, don't film it. Just imagine it's the movie Dante Peak and run. Run far away for an hour and 46 minutes. Unless you're an expert. In that case, sure, put on your cool Iron Man spacesuit and then go sacrifice a couple of drones. Do it in the name of science, and then we'll watch and click the like button. A team of National Geographic explorers and scientists, well, they did just that, and it's very impressive. They had to sacrifice 2 drones to get up close to this active Merom crater on the Abram volcano in Vanuatu. Take a look. And also, shield your eyes, it's quite hot.
Iron-rich, which layers are sulfur-rich. Within the caldera as a whole, there's certainly life. Coating the walls as you go down, on some of the surfaces down at the bottom, almost certainly there's a high microbial constituency.
The volcano has a 7.5 mile wide caldera, and its active craters contain lava lakes that flow forever. So, number 3, Corvette sinkhole. I feel like this point is terrifying for a very specific group of people. Only if you're a Corvette guy. If you're watching, then, you know, you've been warned. Otherwise, it's just an epic fail, really. I'm glad nobody got hurt, if anything. In a bizarre turn of events, a sinkhole opened up inside of the National Corvette Museum in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Yeah, inside of the museum, it just whoom, and then everything fell in. This was back in 2014. Now, like I said, luckily, nobody was around when the portal to the underworld opened up, but 8 Corvettes did get swallowed. 8 Corvettes bit the bullet. The devil wanted those 8 Corvettes for a very specific reason. I don't know. Maybe he likes to ride in style. He likes the roof off type vibe, you know? The Bowling Green Daily News reports that the sinkhole was not small. No, it was 20 feet deep and 40 feet wide in diameter. Now again, this all happened at 5:38 a.m. in the dome area of the museum, so no injuries. But if you're a car guy, this one's bad news. Prepare yourselves, here we go. The 8 cars claimed by the sinkhole included the 1993 ZR1 Spider, a 2009 Blue Devil ZR1, ironic, Blue Devil, that's why he wants it, and even the 1993 40th anniversary Corvette. Yikes, all in that hole. Whoops, what are the odds? Now the 2 ZR1s were on loan from General Motors, while the rest of the cars, well, they were just owned by the museum, so just a big L, very expensive L in my opinion. Sinkholes in this part of Kentucky are apparently not uncommon, so keep your head up, I guess. It sits on what geologists refer to as a karst region, where there are many underground caves and springs. Now, funny enough, engineers determined that the museum remains structurally sound. Still wouldn't catch me in there, no way. Sinkhole or not, I'm never gonna go to a Corvette museum in my life, probably. But if you're a car guy, hey, there you go. Number 2, bikes. Yeah, I bet you didn't think I would put bikes on this list, did ya? Well, think again, pal. It's one thing to see a city thriving and growing, like with many people, but especially that many people on bikes and bikers doing wacky lane change movements, it's a lot. But to see abandoned bikes just piled up, that's just sad. I'd rather see the opposite. I'd rather see an overflowing city than see a pile of dead bikes. Feels like something straight out of the movie WALL-E. Bike sharing has become a popular form of transportation around the world. Now in China, the supply of bikes is much greater than the demand. Add new regulations from local governments to lessen the amounts of bikes on streets, and well, now you end up with abandoned, and most of the time, never even used bikes, all sitting piled up in graveyards all across the country. Now, if you find one, this isn't a treasure chest. Leave it alone. This is a one-way trip to tetanus, so don't climb and explore. Don't be like DW from that one episode of Arthur where she cuts her leg on the can because she's in the garbage thing. Now remember. That's what drones are for, okay? That's what I'm for. Photographer Wu Guoyang captured drone footage of a 15 massive bike graveyards, and they're all equally as haunting. The photographer claims that we're literally throwing away bike, and that doesn't seem right. I have to agree. Give me like 3 of them. I had 2 stolen when I was younger, so, 2 wouldn't hurt. That's all I'm saying. And finally, number 1. Bird drones. We'll finish on a weird one, right? Why not? It's what we're here for. Bird drones is not a new concept by any means, but back in the early 60s, the CIA had this secret program called Project Aqualine, where they used these large drones with a low radar cross-section and a little camera, all that cool spy stuff, and then they got caught. Obviously, it didn't look like a bird at all. They began working on it in 1965, and the first prototype, well, it was a bit obvious, wasn't it? It weighed over 100 pounds, it was this massive eagle, but the only way to catch it was to fly it into a net, which broke something every single test flight, so didn't work. We left it for a while. But now, cut to 2022, yeah, there's for sure a drone pigeon out there watching you somewhere. Olivia just did a couple lists on hidden cameras, so birds and drones, probably, someone's probably thought about it. People don't even think birds are real. They think those are drones, so if you're one of those people, I'm sorry, this video definitely did not help you. But if you're not one of those people, hit thumbs up, hit subscribe, and come back. We'd love to see you. Keep thinking that birds are real. That's great.